So, welcome to business class. I'm your teacher, and we're here to talk about the basics of business class before your final on Monday. All right. So, one of the first things that you have to learn going into business class is how to write a resume. There's two types of resumes. There's an entry-level resume and there's a professional resume. So an entry-level resume is for people that are just entering the workforce. It highlights their education volunteer experience because they don't really have that much work experience. And then it's functional because it highlights their skills, work ethic, and diligence in their fields. And then there's a professional resume. So those are for mid-career professionals. They usually have either work or administrative experience, as well as some education mixed in as they've done for their education. And it's chronological to show that their careers in the past and how they've progressed over time. There's three different parts usually to your resume. So this is pretty much a fake resume right here, just outlining it. We have some visuals right here. So for education, you have to tell the employer about your education, colleges and high school and GPA requirements, work experience and detail about it. And it's most recent, so reverse chronological order, most recent to least recent, and use action verbs and third person, and you list the volunteer experience. References are people who can improve the character of the applicant, such as teachers, counselors, supervisors, co-workers, and lastly, they have to get their permission before. Acknowledgement is to agree to terms of the application, which include declaration that all the information is true, and realization that the employer may investigate all info and understand that employment is not guaranteed, and that's just with your signature and a statement above it.
The purpose of recruiters is to get the right person for the right job. Rhino is a recruiter in name only, and they only perform administrative tasks and have little impact on the quality of candidate or on the quality of hire. On the other hand, good recruiters use diversity recruiting, personalized recruiting, expedited recruiting, and global recruiting. Three interesting facts about the FLSA are that an employer of a tipped employee is only required to pay $2.13 an hour in direct wages. The FLSA does not require extra pay for weekend or night work, and that the FLSA does not limit the types of work employees 18 and over may be required to perform. Ethical codes influence laws because laws reflect the majority's ethical code. They are influenced by consequence-based reasoning and ethical rules reasoning. There are 5 sources of law. The first source is case law, or law that comes from judicial rulings and uses the precedent of stare decisis. The next source is common law, or law based on tradition and rulings in past society. Is constitutional law, which comes off of the United States Constitution. Another source is administrative law, which is developed from organizations of the government, such as the bureaucracy and lower level organizations at the local level. Finally, there's statutory law, which is law that is created by the legislatures at the state, national, and local levels.
You're in an ethical dilemma right now. What are the 6 things you need to do to get out and make the right decision?
Define each ethical issue or problem. 2, list facts. 3, identify anyone who's affected in a situation. 4, explain what each person in a situation would do. 5, list 3 alternative actions and best of worst case for each alternative. 6, determine a course of action.
Thank you. Alright, so there are 3 levels of the government: local, state, and federal. So for local, laws made there are called ordinances, state is called statutes, and federal, or the whole United States, is called constitutional, or in a broader term, statutes, as well as with states.
There are 3 types of torts. The first one is intentional, and that is where the action is purposely done. An example would be assault and battery. Another tort is negligence, and that's a tort where there is no intent, and it was just the omission of a duty, and an example is malpractice. And then the final one is strict liability, and that is when the action or the task you're doing is so dangerous that you have assumed the risk while doing it. So an example could be the owning of a gun or a dangerous pet, and anything involving that is inherently dangerous.
Alright, so there are 4 elements to a tort. The first is duty, or the legal requirement somebody has to the other person. And there's a breach of duty, and that's where the duty has not been fulfilled by the legal recipient. And then there's causation, which is how the act caused the breach of duty or the injury. And the final one is damages or injury, which are either the monetary or financial damages caused by the tort.
There are 3 remedies for a tort. The first are punitive damages, or damages just meant to punish the defendant and prevent them from doing the action again. The next one is compensatory damages, which are damages that had just occurred from the tort and are to make the plaintiff whole. The next are injunctions, which are commands by the judge or the jury to the defendant, such as a restraining order.
All right, Wasim, you've been charged with negligence. There's only really 3 things for you to do. The first one is that you could assume a risk, and they could say that there's an inherent risk in this, and that it wasn't really your fault. The second one is comparative negligence, where you take a little bit of the negligence because it was partly your fault, but it was also partly somebody else's fault. And the final thing is you could do contributory negligence, but that wouldn't really be good because you wouldn't get anything. Because,
Your negligence doesn't allow you to take damages.
Doesn't allow you to. So crimes and torts are 2 different things. Crimes are against society, and they have to be proven beyond a reasonable doubt. Torts are against people, and they have to be proven to the majority, or just the most evidence and the most support of the jury. There are 4 elements of a crime. The first is mens rea, or the guilty mind. The next is actus reus, or basically the conduct or whatever you do to somebody. The next is concurrence, which means both the mens rea and the actus reus have to occur at the same time. And the causation is the final thing. It's that the actual act caused the crime. 3 types of mens rea. The first is intent. Here, Ramon is intentionally stabbing Wasim.
What's that?
So the next type of mens rea is knowledge, and knowledge is when you know that your actions could cause something bad, but you don't actually have intent of doing it.
Yo, I'm with Wasim right now. I'm about to trip him. He might die. I don't know yet. Wait, watch check this out.
Mens rea is recklessness, is when you're extremely indifferent and don't care about the results of your actions, even if you may know that they harm. So Wasim's driving really fast right now.
I'm driving. I don't care.
And he killed 3 people. The type of mens rea is criminal negligence, is when you don't know that your actions will cause harm, but they do cause criminal harm.
Alright, son, I'm going to bed.
So Luke is 3 years old. He doesn't know that his actus reus. The first Luke one dies is of alcohol poisoning. Ramon, act out a conduct of you murdering Wasim. So the next actus reus is omission, or the failure to act. State of being right now. Ramon's a lifeguard, and Wasim is drowning.
I'm drowning. Where's your paperwork? No hablo English. This is a math plate. I'm taking you back to Mexico.
That concludes our video. Thank you and good luck.